Hey guys, Liam from VGS here. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts, opinions, analysis on what we just saw at Bethesda's E3 2017 press conference. It was interesting. If anything, it was a bit predictable, and I wish we would have seen a bit more gameplay, but overall, there's some really interesting things to talk about. So I just want to kind of dive right into it and give a play-by-play on what we saw and what my thoughts on it are. So what Bethesda did this time around is pretty different from what we're traditionally used to with E3 press conferences. They presented it as Bethesda Land, and this was this 1940s, 1950s Fallout even style voiceover with these old school animations, and it presented this press conference as like a theme park where there's all these magical things happening. But what this did was it eliminated the awkward presenter, which is something that E3 and all E3 press conferences are absolutely notorious for. And I think it was kind of very clever and very effective, because for the brief moments that Pete Hines was on stage, he was stuttering, he was making awkward jokes. He's endearing, but it's, you know, it was a little bit awkward. But to kind of get rid of that continually happening throughout the press conference, stopping and starting it, making us all collectively cringe, we now had this smooth voiceover, these animations that just carried us from one game to the next. And I think, honestly, a lot of press conferences could learn something from this. I felt like maybe there was something missing. We were kind of just pushing through it. It wasn't as much of a spectacle, but at the same time, I really appreciated not having to just cringe at these presenters who clearly, you know, A, are actors and don't give a shit about games, or B, are developers and don't know how to talk in front of crowds of people. So great job on that front. Honestly, really like that change. First up, they kind of kicked it off with VR, and that's something they teased last E3, and people could, you know, try out. I think it was just Fallout VR last year, but now they've announced and fully shown Doom VR and Fallout VR. And now I have my reservations after seeing Doom VR, which mostly comes from the on-rails kind of way it seemed to be presented. Similar to how in Dishonored you have your blink ability, or your ability to just like teleport ahead of you. That seems to be the only way you can move in the game. There seems to be no walk or run while shooting mechanic. If you go back and watch the trailer, you're standing in one place and shooting, and then you're blinking somewhere else and then standing in one place and shooting. And that's kind of concerning, because I don't think well, I mean, it totally goes against everything that Doom is known for. It's smooth, buttery movement and gameplay of just, you know, bouncing from one enemy to the next. And this seems like it kind of betrays that, which is something I personally wasn't a huge fan of. Next, we saw Fallout VR, which looked a lot more promising. It honestly just looks like straight Fallout 4, except you're right in there with a VR headset, and it looks honestly incredible. One thing, if I had to maybe criticize it, it looks like there's kind of a significant graphic downgrade, and that could just be, I don't know. I don't know what that could be, but it kind of makes me think that maybe the technology isn't quite there yet, and we're trying to push these huge AAA titles with their gorgeous graphics onto hardware that just can't handle it. But, you know, that's TBD. We'll see where that ends up in the future. Next, we get more Elder Scrolls Online. They show that at every single friggin' press conference, I swear to God. But this time they're showing off Morrowind, the expansion that is already out, but, you know, got to show more of it. Basically, in my notes here, my only note is please stop using reaction YouTubers in your game trailers. It was just not good. I really didn't like that, and I know that's ironic coming from a guy doing a reaction video right now, but I wouldn't want to be in a game trailer either. I think it's a terrible marketing strategy. Next up, they showed something called the Creation Club, which is basically premium mods that are developed by professional modders, people at Bethesda, It looks like a really neat community and a really seamless way to integrate mods into your games. I think that's super promising, with the only setback being that you have to pay for them in quote unquote credits. And I don't know where these credits are coming from, but I really hope they're not going to be these just excessive microtransactions. You got to pay for these lovely mods. I hope that's something that can maybe be earned in game or earned in various ways that aren't just, this is glorified DLC that you don't need. Onwards, it took them a little bit to really gain steam here. They showed off Elder Scrolls Legends, which card game for the Elder Scrolls, I have no feelings about it. I'm stuck playing Gwent, as I'm sure most people are, or they're still playing Hearthstone. I don't think anybody really has time for Elder Scrolls Legends. There's a promise of story modes and all this. If you have it on Steam and you love it, great. It's going to be coming in a month to mobile, but not for me. I got other card games that are pretty dang fine. Following that, we got Skyrim for the Nintendo Switch, which is something I know that a lot of people have been really hyped about. Personally, I wasn't a fan of this idea. I think it was kind of ridiculous to bring a 6-year-old game onto a brand new console and have it as one of your biggest set pieces, one of your biggest attractions. But naysayers like myself were probably proven wrong after this brief demo, which showed off motion controls for Skyrim, which is something some people might have suspected would be integrated, but a lot of cynics, felt like there's no way that was going to happen. Well, they did it, and it looks pretty awesome. I'm going to give them that. It may be an old game. I may have already played it 50 times. I might play it another 50 times if I get motion controls. If you have the Legend of Zelda Link amiibo, you're like one of the 10 people who got it. You can get a Master Sword and a Link armor set, which is fucking cool. It looks great. I can't deny it. It's awesome. So finally, in the second half of the show is where we're really getting to the meat of it, to the great game announcements, and that started off with Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which one can only assume is going to be a Dishonored 2 DLC, even though it doesn't say Dishonored 2 in the title. Could be a standalone. I don't know currently. But man, does that look cool. We have a new protagonist who I believe was referred to as Billy, who looks pretty sweet, got some badass moves under her belt. But more importantly, just this incredibly intriguing plot line, which is that you are an assassin on the hunt for the outsider, the man who has been who gave Corvo, Emily Caldwin, and supposedly others their powers, their abilities, and you're going to be hunting down and putting an end to it. I think that is a brilliant plot line and something that I can't wait to explore personally, because I think that's just going to be amazing, just incredible. It's right now got a release date for the 15th of September. Thank God we're not waiting 2 years for this. And actually, everything else announced in this conference, they said will be coming within the year. Who knows? Delays happen. Delays will almost certainly happen. But as of right now, that looks really promising, and I'm really excited to play that in September. After that, we got Quake Champions. This is something that the esports community is really going to be looking forward to. It looks a lot like Doom, but it also looks a lot like their response to Overwatch. And I say this because from what we've seen, there's all these characters and they've all got their kind of special skill sets, and they're all got these snappy quips at each other, and it looks like it's really trying to bring the personality out of each character, which is, obviously something that Overwatch does really, really well. That being said, it still looks like a lightning fast, fun game, and I'm sure Quake for decades has had an incredible esports following and will continue to with this game. One of the most exciting announcements of the night, and an announcement that I think a lot of people kind of expected, is The Evil Within 2. Now, I would love for anybody to tell me what the fuck is going on in that trailer. It was just a whole lot of crazy, crazy shit, and I loved it. It was gorgeous. It seemed really interesting, the direction they were going with it, the storyline that they were introducing. I was a big fan of The Evil Within myself, and I'm excited for the storyline to continue. But other than kind of establishing the main plot points, it was just a big mindfuck. And I am all for that. I really hope that this game will continue to be as terrifying as the first one. One concern is that they're gonna Resident Evil it. And there was just a lot of explosions, these like car chases, a little bit concerning, not the end of the world. Hopefully it's not going to turn into this really action oriented series, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It looks pretty fucking sweet. And best of all, God bless you, Bethesda, a fall release date. More developers need to do this. They need to stop announcing games that aren't going to be out for another 5 years. Announce a game, have it ready to go a few months from now. I think it was brilliant. I'm very excited for it, and it gives me a lot of faith for Bethesda in the gaming industry. So finally, the big feature of the night, the big announcement was Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. It looks like an incredible sequel to The New Order, a game that personally I absolutely loved. I'm thrilled to see that this sequel is turning out so well, at least from the brief bits that we've seen so far. To give you a quick rundown, it's going to take place in America, which is the first time the series has ever gone there. Obviously, an America run over by the Nazis. We see a lot of very American things that are kind of being destroyed by Nazis in this trailer, from the weird Nazi overrun entertainment of these game shows, or these traditionally American advertisements. We see kind of classic diners, KKK members being hauled off by Nazis. Not something I would ever see in a video game, but cool. I would say they're really taking that narrative approach one step further in this game. We saw in the first game, it was kind of emotional. They made BJ a relatable, sympathetic, kind of tragic figure. And in this, they're really stepping that up a notch. And they're fleshing out all these supporting characters and really having these believable performances to deliver what I think will probably be a very powerful story. At least I'm hoping. I got kind of a Quentin Tarantino-y Inglourious Bastards vibe from it. If you watch the trailer, again, under that lens, you may see it too, which is something that some fans might be thrilled about. Personally, I'm not. While I love Tarantino, I love Inglourious Bastards and all that, I just think that games should have their own unique and original tone to them and not try and emulate a filmmaker or emulate anybody else. I think, game writers are perfectly capable and should really strive to do their own thing. And I get it. If it's a tribute, if you're really trying to bring out that Americana vibe, then sure, go for it. But I don't know. We'll see how it fleshes out. I would rather this really feel like a true Wolfenstein game or a truly original story experience than something that is just like, it's basically Inglourious Bastards the game. I don't know. We'll see. And that's about it from me. But I'd really like to hear what you guys thought about this conference, where it ranks among the other ones this year, what you think future ones are going to be like. Where does this Bethesda one rank among Bethesda's press conferences? Was it better than last year's? Was it a total flop? Agree with what I said? Let me know. Love to hear your responses. But till then, this is Liam from VGS. Thanks for watching.